The desert night was quiet, too quiet for a base that never truly slept. The wind whispered through the hangars, carrying with it the faint scent of oil, steel, and jet fuel. A single lamp buzzed above the main operations tent, casting long shadows over the sand. Inside, maps, screens, and mission files covered every surface. A man in his late 50s, silver hair cropped short, stood at the center of it all. His name was Colonel Everett Hayes, decorated, respected, and feared by every pilot under his command. He'd seen more combat zones than most could count. He'd ordered strikes, planned extractions, and buried too many names under the word classified. But tonight, something about the silence gnawed at him. His gut told him the air was holding its breath. The door to the tent flapped open. A young lieutenant stepped in, saluting sharply. "Sir, incoming call from Raven Control. They're requesting priority clearance for Echo Unit." Hayes frowned. Echo Unit wasn't due to deploy until morning. "Patch them through," he said. The screen flickered to life, revealing a woman's face, sharp, calm, eyes dark as midnight. Her call sign appeared on the screen, Phantom 7. For a moment, the colonel froze. That name, Phantom 7, wasn't supposed to exist anymore. The woman spoke softly, but her voice carried authority. "Colonel Hayes, I'm invoking Protocol Sigma. Immediate lockdown on Hangar 3 and all personnel with Level 5 clearance or higher." Hayes' jaw clenched. "That's impossible," he replied. "Protocol Sigma was decommissioned years ago. Who authorized this transmission?" She didn't blink. "You did, sir. 12 years ago, after Caracas." The room fell silent. The colonel's fingers tightened on the edge of the table. Caracas, the mission that never made it into official records. The one operation that haunted every officer who knew what really happened. "Identify yourself," he demanded, his voice dropping. "Phantom 7, she repeated. And just like that, the colonel couldn't move. It wasn't that he didn't want to, it was as if every nerve in his body locked up. The name hit him like a bullet through glass. He remembered it. The call sign belonged to a pilot long declared dead. Captain Lena Voss. 12 years ago, she'd vanished mid-mission, her jet downed behind enemy lines, her body never recovered. Hayes himself had signed the death report. He remembered writing those words, Kia, body unrecoverable. Now she was staring back at him, alive. Hayes swallowed hard. "This is some kind of trick," he muttered. "Deepfake, AI reconstruction, I don't know, but you're not Lena Voss." She didn't answer. Instead, she leaned closer to the camera. Her voice dropped to a whisper that sliced through the static. "The Falcon burns blue, Colonel." The code phrase. It was hers. Only two people had ever known it, Voss and Hayes. The blood drained from his face. He exhaled shakily. "Where the hell have you been?" "Off the grid," she said. "Because you ordered it." That sentence sent a chill down his spine. He felt the weight of his metals pulling at him. There were things in his past that even the Pentagon didn't dare unearth. He remembered the night he ordered Phantom 7's mission. A black op. No insignias. No witnesses. A strike meant to never exist. But something went wrong. The team disappeared. He told himself it was for the greater good. He buried their names under classified seals and moved on. But now, standing in that tent, every decision of that night came back to haunt him. He stared at her image, trying to find words. "What do you want, Captain?" Her eyes narrowed. "I want the truth unsealed. And I want you to see what you buried." The feed flickered. Static. Then the image shifted, to live drone footage. A black convoy, moved through the desert toward the base. Hayes felt his throat tighten. "What is that?" "Your past," she said. "Coming back." He turned to the lieutenant. "Scramble the security team, now." But when he looked back at the screen, Phantom 7 was gone. The lights flickered. Somewhere outside, an alarm began to wail. The colonel stepped out of the tent, boots crunching in the sand. The night was alive now, searchlights slicing the darkness, soldiers shouting orders. And then he saw it. A figure walking out of the shadows toward him. Black flight suit, helmet under one arm, the same calm, calculating expression. Lena Voss. Hayes felt his breath catch. She was real, not a ghost, not a glitch. "Captain Voss," he managed. She stopped a few feet away, eyes fixed on him. "You shouldn't have come back here," he said quietly. I never left, she replied. Before he could respond, a distant explosion shook the ground. One of the outer hangars went up in flames. Sirens screamed louder. Soldiers rushed past them, shouting into radios. Hayes turned back to her. What have you done? Not me, she said. You. They're here because of you. Because of what we carried that night. He blinked. We. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You thought I went down. But I survived. I saw what was in that cargo bay. It wasn't just tech, Colonel. It was human. Hayes' stomach dropped. He remembered fragments, encrypted files, unmarked crates, orders that came from, above top secret. He'd never questioned it, but Voss had, and that's why she disappeared. You're saying we were transporting. She cut him off. Subjects. Genetic test subjects. Codenamed Project Wraith. You signed the clearance. He felt sick. The classified briefing came back in flashes, the promise of a biotechnical advantage, the talk of engineered reflex responses. Phantom pilots. Soldiers without fear, without hesitation. The future of warfare, they'd said. And he'd helped deliver it. Lena's voice broke through his daze. They finished what we started, Colonel. And now they're coming home. The distant rumble of engines filled the night. Hayes looked up. 4 stealth aircraft glided over the desert like black ghosts. Their formation, perfectly synchronized, too precise for human pilots. They're unmanned, he asked. She shook her head. Not unmanned. Unalive. The jet swooped low, releasing something into the darkness, figures, falling fast, landing without sound. Soldiers. But not human. They moved like shadows, fast and fluid. Hayes stumbled back. You brought them here. I tried to stop them, Lena said. But once they woke, they followed the last command burned into their code, return to base. Hayes gritted his teeth. And what's their directive now? She looked at him sadly. Eliminate all witnesses. Gunfire erupted near the perimeter. The colonel barked orders into his radio, but static answered him. The comms were jammed. The base was under siege, by something they'd created, something not even human enough to negotiate with. He turned back to Lena. Then we fight. She gave a faint smile. You always did love impossible odds. They moved together through the chaos, dodging explosions, barking commands, trying to hold the base together. Hayes hadn't been in direct combat for years, but muscle memory kicked in. Every corner they turned, one of those creatures appeared, faces hidden behind shattered visors, eyes glowing faintly blue. Lena fought like lightning. Her movements were a blur of precision, each shot deliberate, each step controlled. Hayes realized she wasn't just trained, she was enhanced. She was one of them. He saw the glint of a metallic implant beneath her collar. They did this to you, he said. She nodded. I was the first. That realization hit harder than any explosion. Phantom 7 wasn't just a pilot, they'd made her into the prototype. A living test. The night wore on like a nightmare. One by one, the base defenses fell. The sound of gunfire faded until only the wind remained. Hayes and Lena took shelter inside the wrecked control tower, surrounded by burning debris. He leaned against a console, coughing. We can't hold much longer. Lena looked out the shattered window. We don't need to. We just need to make sure they don't get out. Hayes followed her gaze. In the distance, the main hangar doors were opening, automatically. The drones were moving inside, preparing for launch. If they escaped into the sky, the world would have no defense. Can you override it? He asked. She shook her head. No, but I can overload it. He frowned. That'll kill you. She smiled faintly. I was already supposed to be dead, remember? Hayes looked at her, really looked. The soldier he'd lost. The secret he'd buried. The ghost he never stopped hearing in his sleep. He stepped closer. You don't have to do this, Lena. She met his eyes. I do. Because you can't move past what you created until I'm gone. Her words echoed that same haunting phrase from before. Phantom 7. He froze again. Not from fear, but from understanding. She wasn't talking to him anymore. She was triggering something. Her neural command system. Her final failsafe. The implants in her body began to glow faintly. She turned and ran toward the hangar, leaving him standing there, helpless as the realization hit him. Phantom 7 wasn't a name. It was an activation code. A command protocol built into the project's first subject, her. He tried to follow, but his limbs locked. His body wouldn't obey. The command was inside him, too, implanted when he authorized the program. Phantom 7 was designed to immobilize all connected officers in case of internal breach. And now, it held him frozen in place while she carried out her final mission. Through the window, he saw her sprint across the burning runway, bullets slicing the air around her. She reached the hangar, tore open a maintenance panel, and slammed her hand onto the control core. Light exploded outward. The last thing he saw was her silhouette framed in fire, calm and resolute. And then everything went white. When Hayes woke, he was lying in the sand outside the ruins of the base. The sun was rising. The horizon was quiet again. No soldiers, no aircraft, just silence. A rescue team found him hours later, delirious, covered in ash. They said there were no other survivors. No trace of the Phantom units. No record of the operation. He returned to command weeks later, though he hardly spoke. His medals gleamed, but his eyes were hollow. Every night, he heard her voice again, soft, steady, unyielding. She said, "Phantom 7, he told the investigators. And I couldn't move. They thought he meant fear. They were wrong. What froze him wasn't fear, it was the system he'd helped build." And somewhere, buried under layers of sand and secrecy, a single terminal blinked to life for a moment before fading into black.